Have you ever planted a seed and then dug it up the next morning to see if it was growing? Of course not. Every gardener understands that once a seed has been planted, something very important begins happening beneath the surface. Nothing appears to be happening, yet everything is happening. The shell of the seed begins to soften. The roots begin reaching downward. Life quietly awakens, and all of this is happening underground, in the darkness, in silence, protected by the earth. Now here's something interesting. Many of us understand that perfectly when we're planting a garden, but then we turn around and do the exact opposite with our magic. We perform a spell, and then immediately we begin wondering if it's working. We keep checking. We keep worrying. We keep talking about it. We keep trying to force things. In other words, we keep digging up the seed. Today we're going to discover why that weakens our magic and how the earth body teaches us one of the most important magical lessons of all. In our first lesson, we strengthen the fire body, the body of will, the body of action. In our second lesson, we strengthened the water body, the body of faith, the body of trust. In our third lesson, we strengthened the air body, the body of imagination, the witch's workshop. Today, we arrive at the fourth side of the witch's pyramid, the earth body, the body of secrecy. Now, when people hear the word secrecy, they often misunderstand what magical traditions are talking about. They imagine hiding, keeping secrets, not telling anyone anything. And certainly that is part of it. But magical secrecy is much deeper than simply remaining quiet. The earth body teaches us how to protect what is becoming manifest. I like to think of the earth body as the sacred garden. Every magical work eventually arrives here. The fire body plants the intention through will. The water body nourishes it with faith. The air body creates the blueprint of the entire garden. Then the earth receives the seed. It protects it. It nourishes it. It gives it time. The sacred garden teaches us that everything worth growing begins beneath the surface. The seed does not announce itself. The roots don't ask for recognition. The flower doesn't bloom before its season. Everything meaningful begins quietly. It grows in secret. This is why magical traditions have always taught the power of secrecy. Not because magic is something to be ashamed of, quite the opposite. Because what we make secret, we make sacred. Think about that for a moment. The deep mind does not really distinguish between a secret and something precious. Whatever you hold close, whatever you protect, whatever you quietly nurture, begins gathering power. That's why talking about your magical goals will weaken them. Imagine trying to fill a beautiful balloon with air while there's a tiny hole in the side. Every breath you blow into it leaks back out. Talking about your spell works in the same way. Each conversation becomes another little leak. The earth body teaches us to allow the thought form to become full, to gather strength, to ripen, to become so complete that it naturally seeks expression in the physical world, just like an apple naturally ripens on the tree or a flower naturally blooms when the season arrives. This week, we are going to practice that magical law together. Our first exercise is called the secret seed. Choose one thing that you genuinely want to manifest, just one. It does not need to be enormous. In fact, it's probably better if it's something that's just a little bit beyond your current sphere of influence. Write your desire on a small piece of paper, then fold the paper and place it somewhere safe and private. You might place it between a small stone on your altar. You might tuck it into a special box. You might put it inside of a favorite book or in your wallet. Or if you have a garden or even a flower pot, you may wish to place it beneath the soil. Wherever you choose to secrete this paper, the place then becomes your sacred garden. The important thing is this: once you've planted that seed, leave it alone. Don't unfold it. Don't keep checking on it. Don't keep rewriting it. And don't talk about it. For the next 7 days, let it remain quietly planted. Each day, if you like, spend a few moments visiting your sacred garden. You don't even have to touch the paper. Just simply remember, the seed has already been planted. Now here's the hardest part. Be patient. Patience is not just waiting. Patience is trusting that something important is happening, even when you can't yet see it. Remember again that the gardener doesn't dig up the seed every morning to see if it's growing. Just because you cannot see it doesn't mean nothing's happening. So this week, every time you think about your secret seed, instead of asking, "Is it working?" practice saying, "It is growing." That one small change begins strengthening your earth body. Remember how beautifully those first 3 bodies have prepared you for this moment. The fire body gave you the will to plant the seed. The water body gave you the faith to nourish it. The earth body gave you the imagination to create what you would do with it. Now the earth body teaches you something equally important. It teaches you when to stop. Not because you're giving up, not because you've lost interest, it's because you've done your work. There comes a moment in every magical operation when the greatest act of power is no longer doing, but allowing. The earth body reminds us that there are some things we simply cannot rush. You cannot hurry spring. You cannot force an apple to ripen. You cannot command a flower to bloom before it's ready. Nature has its own wisdom. Nature has its own timing. Magic follows the same law. The earth never hurries, yet somehow everything blooms exactly when it's ready. This is why patience is such a powerful magical virtue. Patience is not passive. Patience is an active choice. It's choosing not to interfere with the process that's already unfolding. The earth body teaches us that once the seed has been planted, our job is to protect it. Our job is to allow the sacred garden to do what only the sacred garden can do. Our second exercise this week is called Sacred Silence. Throughout this week, I would like you to become much more aware of your words. Not because talking is somehow bad. Words are sacred. Words create. Words direct power. But many of us speak far more than we need to. We dissipate our power. Notice how often you begin explaining yourself when nobody ever asked for an explanation. Notice how often you need to fill silence just because silence feels somehow uncomfortable. This week, practice speaking only when your words actually serve a purpose. This doesn't mean that you're supposed to stay silent all day long. Simply become more intentional. Become more economical with your words. During your meditation this week, I'd also like you to spend a little time in complete silence. No music, no guided meditation, no chanting, incantations, affirmations, just silence. If possible, sit in darkness as well, even if it's only for a minute or 2. You could maybe expand that over time to 5, maybe even up to 20. You may discover that silence is not empty. You may discover that silence is full of awareness, full of presence, full of magic. The earth body teaches us that silence is not the absence of something. Silence is the presence of something deeper. Our third exercise this week is deep rest. Modern life teaches us that productivity is everything. We're always doing, always producing, always moving. Nature teaches us something very different. Fields must lie fallow. Trees must become dormant. Seeds must rest before they sprout. The earth body reminds us that rest is not laziness. Rest is part of creation. This week, do your best to get enough sleep. As you prepare for sleep each night, gently place one beautiful thought in your mind. Not worry, not fear, not anxiety, not planning. Just one word or simple phrase that represents what you wish to grow. You might think the word peace, or health, or wealth, or simply everything is unfolding perfectly. And let that become the final seed that you plant before you sleep. You can gently repeat it silently in your mind like a lullaby as you drift off to sleep. Then, when you awaken in the morning, gently remember to return to that same thought before the concerns of the day start rushing in. If you can this week, also give yourself one true day of rest. Not a day of catching up or organizing, not working ahead, but resting, playing, walking, reading, doing whatever it is that restores your spirit. Don't be productive. Remember, the earth body grows stronger when we stop trying to force every little moment. Our fourth exercise for the earth body this week is called Return to the Earth. Spend some time in nature this week. Walk through a park. Sit beneath a tree. Feel the grass beneath your bare feet. Visit the ocean, or simply spend a few quiet moments with a houseplant if that's what's available to you. Nature teaches us magical law more clearly than almost anything else. Every tree teaches patience. Every flower teaches magical timing. Every season teaches certainty. As you're spending time in nature, don't ask it to teach you something. Simply be with it. Allow yourself to remember that you are part of the same living process. You are part of nature. You're not separate from the garden. You're growing within it. I'd also like you to pay attention to the food that you eat this week. Choose foods that are full of life whenever possible. Fresh fruits, fresh vegetables, whole foods. And then take a moment before eating whatever it is that you're eating to bless your meal. Recognize that the sunlight stored within these foods is now becoming part of you as life force. The earth doesn't simply grow plants, the earth grows you. And every meal becomes another opportunity for you to receive that gift consciously. Right before you eat, just relax for a moment and silently or aloud simply say the words, "Blessed be." Throughout this week, notice when you feel the urge to interfere with anything. The urge to hurry, to force, to explain, to check. Simply smile when you notice these things and take a breath and remember your secret seed. Remember that the garden is still growing, even when you cannot yet see it. As your earth body grows stronger, you'll begin noticing something interesting changes. You may find yourself becoming calmer, more patient, more grounded, less reactive, less anxious, more certain. You may discover that you no longer feel the need to keep checking up on whether your magic is working. You simply know it is. You begin trusting timing instead of forcing timing. You begin recognizing that creation has its own rhythm. The earth body reminds us that manifestation is never something to force. Manifestation is something we allow. The gardener knows they don't create the flower. The gardener simply prepares the conditions in which the flower naturally appears. That is exactly what we are learning to do with magic. Remember, the fire body taught us to act, the water body to trust, the air body to imagine, and now the earth body teaches us to allow. It teaches us to protect. It teaches us to wait without doubting. And that may be one of the greatest magical powers of all, the power of secrecy. This week, practice sacred silence. Rest deeply. Return to nature. Plant your secret seed. And whenever you find yourself wondering whether your magic is working, smile and remind yourself it is growing. Because everything worth growing begins in secret. Everything worth growing requires patience. Everything worth growing requires protection. And everything worth growing eventually breaks through the surface in its own perfect time. If you're joining me in strengthening your earth body this week, leave a comment below and write, "The garden grows in silence." I'd love to know who's continuing this journey with me. Next time, we will complete this entire series as we discover something wonderful. We've spent the last 4 weeks strengthening what we've called the fire body, the water body, the air body, and the earth body. But here's the beautiful truth. There never really were 4 separate magical bodies. There has only been one magical self. And next time, we will discover how all 4 bodies work together as one living magical being. Please remember to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and click on that notification bell so you always know when I have new videos. Until next time, blessed be.